Seattle has a well-earned reputation of being a haven for hipster pseudo-socialist leftists, and that reputation is well justified. The city has now demonstrated that reputation and why they deserve it once again. We all remember the election of Kashama Sawat to City Council for Seattle, and now she's decided to tackle the issue of homelessness by suggesting that we give free wireless internet to people in the growing number of tent cities. You know, some things where a lot of homeless people build temporary shelters out of tents and then end up living there due to the ongoing economic crisis that not just Seattle, but the entire United States is currently going through. Apparently, in the eyes of Kashama Sawat, the one thing they need the most is wireless internet. Sawat says that the goal of the project is to provide this service to assist people who are looking for work and look for shelters and basic services. Appearing on Kiro Radio's Jason Rant's show, she stressed just exactly how important internet is for the common person. From the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, how much of the internet and having access to it is a part of your life, and how deeply your quality of life would be impacted if, just imagine, that one day you didn't have internet access at all. You wouldn't be able to communicate with a lot of people, and you wouldn't be able to know what's going on. Well, I find that statement kind of funny because when I was a kid, there was no internet available to the public. That didn't even come along until I was a teenager. And even then, somehow we still managed to get by. But my point is, her drive to do this is to take care of joblessness, so that people can find services and do all that. But the main thing to look for jobs seems to be the focal point of the purpose for this. See, the problem is, you can't help people find jobs that aren't there. One of the biggest things that government and capitalism is absolutely useless for is creating jobs. When a situation like the one we're in right now and have been facing since 2008 comes up, they put a ton of money into jobs, into programs to help you find jobs. But the problem is that those jobs aren't there to begin with. We don't have a lack of ability to find a job crisis. We have a lack of job crisis. Money is being thrown into programs to help people find work when the problem is a lack of work to begin with. These efforts are essentially wasted. But they are there for an important reason, because it makes it look like the bourgeois government is doing something to try to help, when in essence, really they're just wasting money. When I actually think about this, calling the internet a necessity is like the single most hipster thing you could possibly do. I mean, these people are already homeless. Don't you think maybe homes might be a necessity? Running water, sanitation, these kinds of things? Like, why isn't that money being put into some kind of housing program? And she is asking for $100,000 from the city budget to be put towards that. Well, why not just put that towards the housing problem? Well, you see, the thing is, it's all happening still within the context of capitalism. It's still going by the production of things for their exchange value instead of their use value, which is the reason why homelessness can never be taken care of to begin with, which is why you can't use charity to end homelessness. And anybody who tells you otherwise is a fool. I'm not saying she said that, but I'm saying there are people who have said that. So what is the use in bringing internet to people who are homeless? If I have to choose between having a home and having internet, I'm going to choose having a home, because there's always other resources I can go to, like the library, to use the internet. So I really don't understand the logic of this whatsoever. But it never ceases to amaze me, the mentality of the first worldist. Out of all the things that people really need, they label the internet as a necessity. And it just astounds me that this is what they think. This is what's important. This is what happens when you work within the system. When you try to change the system from within, you end up not doing that. You don't change the system changes you. And there is a reason why that's what happens every time. This is a prime example of that. I mean, she talked about helping the poorest of the poor in society, like the really downtrodden, the really poor and suffering. So give people in the richest, one of the richest cities, one of the most privileged cities in the United States, free internet for the homeless. Like, it's hard for me to wrap my head around that's actually a goal. Why isn't homelessness being tackled? I mean, this is what happens when you end up joining the bourgeois system. Your thinking gets contorted, gets twisted towards their system. You don't beat their system from the inside. The system beats you. And this is why we need radical, militant, nonviolent, in her words, change. This is unacceptable. The world can't wait for this, wait for something that doesn't work. These power structures that exist are the ones that are causing the problem to begin with. They have to be torn down and replaced with new ones that actually do the job that these institutions pretend to be doing. It's just another one of those examples why you can't change the system from the inside.